I've said it before and I'll say it again. I truly believe that Polkadot is one of the most underrated cryptocurrencies going into 2022. Polkadot is looking to become the king of interoperability, which is going to be the future of crypto, especially when everything is looking to become chain agnostic. And as much as people want to say that this is an Ethereum killer, this is actually a complementary project to all of those other layer 1 solutions because technically this is a layer 0 solution. What separates Polkadot from the rest of the blockchains is how the actual blockchain is developed. In terms of scalability, it's subpar to any other ecosystem, and that's why DOT is one of my favorite plays going into the next 5 to 10 years. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining how Polkadot works, giving you a little bit more information about the crowd loan and the parachain auctions, and I'll also give you some of my favorite altcoin picks within the Polkadot ecosystem that I think can have a really big year. This picture here is actually a really good example of how the blockchain works within Polkadot. This circle that you see, which we're going to be explaining a little bit later, is the relay chain. This will be the heart of the Polkadot ecosystem, and then on the outside of this, you're going to see your parachains, your parathreads, your validators, and every other piece of the blockchain. But notice there is a differential between the main core of the Polkadot ecosystem and then how all these other sub networks and cores are going to be working. Again, the relay chain is going to be the heart of Polkadot. This is where the governance, the staking, the transactions, and the share security is all going to be taking place. And the key component that makes Polkadot different from the rest of these blockchains is going to be they use parachains, which are essentially going to be side blockchains that can be built individually depending on the actual project that is being used. And what that means in layman terms is that each parachain can be built specifically to the needs of that exact utility. So if we're talking about a smart contract solution, that parachain will be created and developed to specifically handle smart contracts. If it's a security parachain, it will be built specifically to handle the security needs of the Polkadot ecosystem, and so on and so forth. So really the parachains are going to mostly handle smart contracts, CPU intensive tasks, and anything that needs to branch away from the relay chain to take away some of that congestion. Now by taking off that network congestion, you're going to be bringing down gas fees, you're going to be increasing your transactions per second, and overall allows for the blockchain to operate in a very smooth manner. Projects that are interested in acquiring these parachains need to go through a leasing period. Currently, we're at a 2-year max in the leasing period. And in order to secure that parachain, you need to go through a crowdfunding. And to get listed as a parachain, you also need to go through a crowd loaning process, which we'll be covering in a little bit. Now, once you've gone through that parachain stage, you can get into the parathreads, which is going to be similar to parachains, but it's more of a pay-as-you-go model. And the parathreads are really going to be useful for any projects that don't need to be communicating with the blockchain consistently, versus anything that's on a parachain is going to be something that's an active communicator within the Polkadot ecosystem. And to wrap it up, we have the bridges, which are going to allow parachain and parathreads to connect and communicate with external networks like Ethereum and Bitcoin, which again keeps away some of that congestion and maintains a fast and healthy network. There are also 4 consensus roles within the Polkadot ecosystem that are going to help everything run the way they're supposed to run. Those are going to be nominators, which secure the relay chain by selecting trustworthy validators. You have the validators, which are going to secure the relay chain by staking DOT, validating proofs from collators, and participating in consensus. You have the collators, which maintain shards by collecting the shard transactions from users, and then they produce proofs for validation. And the last role is the fisherman, which is to monitor the network and report bad behavior to the validators. And with this, collators and any parachain full node are able to perform the fisherman role. So really the main benefit of using these parachains and parathreads is that any normal blockchain, you're going to be doing a single transaction method block by block. Whereas Polkadot with these multiple parathreads and parachains allows for parallel transactions or multiple transactions to go on within the same ecosystem at the exact same time. This solution makes Polkadot very, very, very scalable. One of the key components of the Polkadot ecosystem are these parachain slot auctions. Now basically what they do is they lease slots on the relay chain for up to 96 weeks at a time with the option to renew. The slots are assigned by an on-chain auction, and when one of these projects win the auction, that DOT is then locked up for the duration of the lease, and then it is given out to the holders, similarly to a staking mechanism. Now the reason why they give these rewards out is because when you're staking DOT within these crowd loans and these parachain auctions, you're not going to be making the staking rewards that you would be if you were to just stake that DOT. So to complement and supplement that, these crowd loans and these parachain slot auctions will give you better benefits and better incentives so that you're more likely to use your DOT to stake these newer ecosystem projects than just staking DOT itself. So you still always have the ability to stake DOT. It's always safer to stake DOT itself. But if you want to get into the riskier stuff and to find these lower cap gems, maybe projects that haven't been truly released yet, then you would go through the crowd loan auction to be one of the first people to buy these coins with the highest potential of growth as you're being paid out in the locked out in the lockout period. And let's say hypothetically you put 100 DOT into XYZ project, and that project does not win the crowd loan and the parachain slot auction, then whatever DOT you staked with them is going to be refunded to you, so you can move it back into another project, or you can restake it into DOT or whatever it may be. But if the project does not win the crowd loan, it doesn't mean you lose your DOT. You will be refunded. But if you put your money in one of the projects that do win the crowd loan, you will not be able to unlock that money for the 2-year period or 96-week period, or ever how long they make you wait for that full payout. So basically how this would work is the parachain teams agree to lock up or bond a portion of the DOT tokens. After the lease, the full amount of DOT is unlocked. Some parachain teams will fund their auction bid with the help of a crowd loan campaign, which allows them to accept contributions from DOT holders. And then the crowd loan contributors get their DOT back at the end of the lease, and parachain teams can then choose the rewards in various ways, including a distribution of the parachain's native token. The auctions typically have an open bidding period of approximately 1 week, and each slot on the relay chain can be leased for a maximum duration of 96 weeks. When bidding on the slot, the parachains themselves can choose the desired length by selecting a contingent range of 12-week increments known as the leasing period. And multiple parachains can win single auctions if they successfully bid on non-overlapping lease periods. So what that basically means is that, let's say my project XYZ only filed for a 48-week lease period, and we wanted to do it on the first half of the 96-week range. Basically what that means is that if I own project XYZ and I only wanted to buy, let's say 48 weeks out of the 96-week lease period, I can do that. And then another company, project ABC, can go take the other 48 weeks. So we can split that crowd loan period of 96 weeks between the two of us, or 3 of us or 4 of us, depending on how small the increments actually are. And the reason why this works really well is, let's say that project ABC, they're not exactly ready at this exact moment, but they do have a feeling that in 48 weeks their project will be ready. They can already secure the second tier, the second half of that 48-week period, and they'll still have that time in the beginning to get their project working 100%. And we actually do see this a pretty decent amount with the crowd loaning features. If you are interested in getting involved in the parachains, you can go to parachains.info and then click auctions at the top. And if you scroll down, you'll be able to see all of the active and past auctions on Kusama and Polkadot ecosystems. So for example, in this run, we can see that Unique Network just won the other day, as well as Equilibrium and Phala. They are all 3 winners. So they have already held their spot and have a place within the parachain. And here's some other ones that you can still get into that have not won just yet, like Polkadot, Coinversation, Gemini's Network, and Light Entry. If you scroll down a little bit more, they have a timeline that'll tell you when these projects actually won. So you can see Phala, Equilibrium, and Unique have already won. Now the one that hasn't won yet, but it's looking like it will win, is going to be Light Entry, who has been performing extremely well. Definitely better than the other 3 of Coinversation, Polkadot, and Gemini. So you can see they really haven't done much so far. And you can also look back to see some of the other projects that have won. For example, Affinity, Composable Finance, Centrifuge, all the way to some of the original winners like Moonbeam, Akala, Parallel Finance, Clover. Now, as of now, Polkadot says they're going to be giving away 100 of these spots. Now that is subject to change as the project continues to scale even more. But at the end of the day, this is a really great opportunity for anyone that likes DAOs or wants to get into early projects or wonders how you can get these low cap gems and things like that. I am going to go over this a little bit more in another video, but the major difference, if you're wondering, between Polkadot and Kusama, for example, Kusama is going to be the main test net for Polkadot. Now Polkadot likes to do live testing, quote unquote. So they do have a test net that they use, but they would much rather put it into a real world blockchain like Kusama and have it being tested through Kusama. A lot of these projects that go through the parachain auction system do end up testing or going through Kusama first before actually going on to Polkadot. We've seen that similar thing with Moonriver. We see Moonriver at the top of this list for Kusama. Moonriver was a smart contract solution that was tested on Kusama before it was converted into Polkadot. And that is what we know as Moonbeam, which is going to be Polkadot's smart contract solution. But 90% of these are going to be tested before on the Kusama network before they get moved into the Polkadot network. So if you're one of those people that you think that Polkadot is slow or boring, or you don't know when it's going to take off, keep an eye on Kusama, because what's happening on the Kusama side of things is going to be a major factor on what happens in the Polkadot side. Now, as Kusama starts to scale and get better and have different solutions and better solutions, they're going to start to implement those solutions in a Polkadot, because Kusama, again, is their real-world testnet, which allows it to go through real-world problems and real testing before it goes into the major chain that's going to be housing and communicating with every other blockchain potentially. And if you're one of the people that are still skeptical on parachains or on Kusama or Polkadot as a whole, this is a really good graphic that'll give you an idea of the amount of people that are truly investing and working on Polkadot. Now, besides the fact that Polkadot has the most venture capitalist and institutional money out of any other crypto projects besides Ethereum and Bitcoin, the graph that I'm showing you now is explaining the monthly developers since launch. And as we can see on this purple line, Polkadot is competing and also beating out Ethereum. Now, Ethereum has been around longer and has much higher of a curve, but as a whole, Polkadot has been trending and trending and trending. And it's very surprising that this project hasn't blown up yet. Now, it has a lot to do with the fact that they don't need to do a lot of marketing because they have so much venture capital money. They're one of the ecosystems that is based on private sales rather than public sales. So if you're talking about a Sheep coin, for example, that's public because they need a lot of retail investors to pump the coin. They don't have that much institutional and venture capital money. Whereas Polkadot has the most investors and the most venture capital money out of anyone. So of course they're not going to be dealing with retail traders or having to pump marketing ads on Twitter or anything like that because they don't need that. They already have the money that they need to continue to build their ecosystem and make it perfect before they release it to the public. And with the amount of devs that are joining and being active within this ecosystem, this is very, very bullish to see. And if they continue to outpace Ethereum, we could see this start to move up and really start to gain true market cap. Again, this is not an Ethereum killer. This is a complementary project to Ethereum. So there's no competition on that side. The last thing I want to talk about, and the most important, is going to be the chart. Now, if you're looking at this daily chart on Polkadot, we can see we have this inverse head and shoulders that's been playing out. We're filling out the right shoulder right now. We have the left shoulder, we have our head, we have the right shoulder, we have the neckline. Now notice the neckline is trending upwards in an uptrend. That is a bullish thing to see as well. A lot of our oscillators and indicators are telling us that the bullish momentum is starting to come into the project, which is exactly what we want to see when you're hitting a right shoulder on an inverse head and shoulders move. Now, one of my first take profits for short-term plays is going to be around the $28 range, but I do believe long-term that Polkadot can test its all-time high and potentially get into a moonshot. Now, your all-time high is sitting at around $53, so you're looking at more than a 2x move to test the all-time high. If we start to stall out a little bit and let's say we drop down to around the $44 to the $40 range, it could be a really great buying opportunity once we've tested the sell wall and taking some of the selling pressure out of the market to see this potentially get into a moonshot. Now, if Polkadot goes into a moonshot, we could see a really, really nice move potentially up to the 60s, 70s, maybe even $80 range, which would be a fantastic gain considering you're at $18 right now and you're investing in a top 15 ecosystem and project within the crypto space. So you're mitigating, you're taking away a lot of that risk that you would be taking if you're investing in an altcoin, for example. If you want to go more in depth with the technical analysis, make sure to check out our Alchemy trading group where you can learn my trading strategies, get access to our buy and sell signals, daily and weekly chart analysis and breakdowns, as well as lifetime access to our academy. I'm not going to get too deep in the technicals of potential altcoins to pick within the Polkadot ecosystem. I do want to save those videos for a later time. But I do want to at least drop the names so you know which projects I'm looking at for really nice growth potential. First one is going to be Moonbeam, which is going to be the smart contract solution. Another one that I like a lot is going to be Affinity EFI, which is built through Engine. It's Engine and Polkadot's baby. They're going to be building their metaverse and NFT projects and things like that to host for Polkadot and Engine. So I think this can be a massive project moving forward. We're in the very, very baby stages of Affinity, so keep an eye on that. And the third one I do want to mention is one of the recent winners, which is going to be Fala Network. This is a security network within the Polkadot ecosystem that has a lot of upside potential, and I do expect Fala to become a bigger house name now that they're officially one of the winners of a parachain spot. If you found anything in this video useful, please make sure to throw a like on this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're not already. Hopefully have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on wherever you're watching this in the world, and we'll catch you on the next one.